Did you ever get the feeling as you're staring at the ceiling that this game of life we play ain't fair? Seems as fast as we can make it, there's a hand that grabs and takes it till they plant us in a grave somewhere. Like a rodent on a treadmill, we keep pushing for it uphill, but we never seem to get too far. Well, if you think you're being taken, then you're ready to awaken to the truth of what we really are. We're all indentured, servitudal slaves, overburdened and bewildered feudal knaves, who have lost our sole posterity through ignorance and apathy, and now we're being taxed out of our graves. And as long as we stay passive, we'll succumb, contented with some socialistic crumb. Well, the naked truth and fact is we're all saps who pay our taxes, and that is why the banksters keep us dumb. Could the state of our condition be the product of omission, what we didn't learn in public schools? And did our fathers all through history all fight and die for liberty so we could play the tyrants' fools? And can you call it education when it's all indoctrination to obey the hidden powers that be? Did we fight the revolution? Did we win the world wars just to slumber into slavery? Let's stop being indentured, servitudal slaves, overburdened and bewildered feudal knaves, and reclaim our lost posterity, rise up and proclaim liberty. It's high time we rock the boat and make some waves, 'cause as long as we stay passive, we'll succumb. They'll starve us on their communistic crumb. And the naked truth and fact is we don't have to pay those taxes. Yes, it's time we show those banksters, those international gangsters. So let's turn the tables and spoil all their fun.
That's all.
God bless the Republic and the United States, and death to the New World Order! Yeah! All right! Yeah!
Joe, in its 22nd year of broadcast, my name is Sept. I'm the co-host of the show. Jeff Davis will be joining us back in the studio momentarily, but with me here right now is the highlight of our program this evening, Mr. Phil McConnell. Phil, thanks for coming on with us.
Nice to meet you. Two comments, Sasan and Sadat.
Yes.
Okay, Sasan is Persian?
Yes. / Iranian, as you brought up.
Yes, Iranian, and I wanted to bring that up because I've spent a lot of time flying over Iranian airspace, and they're some of the most technically proficient and genteel air traffic controllers in the world. And I just want to say right here, I have no agenda, I have no notes, I have no speech, and I have no teleprompter. And I have traveled the world, I've flown, I've reported safety issues that have been buried. They've been buried much to the detriment of the United States of America, much to the detriment of the traveling public, and the force behind this suppression of truth is the City of London and the Crown Sisters. And I'll be speaking at the Brave New Books in Austin. But the reason I came here is threefold. Number one, for this show. Number two, for the Brave New Books. And number three, for something to do with FBI that I can't talk about.
Okay. And before we get into more of that, we definitely want to hear that. Can you give us a little bit of background about yourself? What is your history exactly? What are your credentials?
Okay, I was born in 1949. I was the son of a career Air Force officer and a World War II Army nurse. I went to Punahou School in Hawaii, where Barry Soetoro graduated from in 1979. I graduated in 1967 from Punahou School. And people can Google that if they want to find out what Punahou is all about. It's an excellent learning institution, Punahou. I got appointed to the U.S. Naval Academy in 1967, graduating in 1971. And the only reason, I understand you're a veteran, Jeff?
Yes.
Yes, because I see like
12
me.
years Air Force.
I was in the Air Force also, as well as the Marine Corps and the Navy, but the progression was Punahou School, Naval Academy, U.S. Marine Corps, Air National Guard, where I flew NORAD air defense fighter missions for 16 years. We were deployable worldwide on a moment's notice. We had to keep our bags packed. When we were on duty, we were on alert, air defense alert. And I see that somebody's looking at this, and I want to point out.
Go ahead.
Let me just point out that these I found in my father's drawer. After he died, we had to deal with my father, who's a 30-year veteran. And these meant a lot to him because he put it in a private place in his drawer. And now it has a private place in my heart because my father was a career serviceman for 30 years. He was a POW in World War II. They tried to destroy him physically. They did destroy other POWs physically, and I harbor no grudge against the Japanese. I harbor a huge grudge against wars that are manufactured by the City of London, perpetuated by the Crown Sisters in this day. And I think we need
No, wait a
to...
minute. I want to just interrupt you here a minute. Now, so, are you saying that the City of London, the Crown Sisters, this is the central point for this New World Order conspiracy?
Absolutely.
Now, we've heard, of course, about the Bilderbergers and the Trilateral Commission. City of London, I guess there haven't been that much research or that much publications to date because this is sort of new to me.
Yeah, it's new
Have
to
you
me,
done some
too.
original research?
I mean, I've
on
heard
this?
of the Committee of 13 and the Committee of 300, and
Federal
I've had
Reserve.
Tex Mars on here. And
You haven't heard of the City of London and the Crown agents?
no,
Not
I
this point,
honestly,
huh?
I can't say I
These
have.
people are so deep, so wealthy, and so evil that they create all the disharmony in the world, literally. And they blame it on two other people. For instance, I might look at you and say, big guys from Texas hate people from Persia. And I might look over at him and say, I think he's actually not from Persia. I think he's from Iraq. And that's what they do. They start trouble, and they get
Yeah.
both sides fighting against each other, and then they
Yeah,
sell
yeah.
arms to both of them.
Yeah,
and if it
yeah,
looks like
yeah.
it's going to get ended ahead of schedule, they'll give some intelligence to the losing party about where the next attack's coming from.
I got to tell you something, Field. I talked exactly like you from about 1995 to about 2001.
I saw in the previous to my coming on, I saw 1996.
I
and
would talk about the Trilateral Commission, of course, the Federal Reserve, the IMF, World Bank.
Are you familiar with this term, octopus?
No,
Octopus
not
are
a
the
bit.
8 international banks that have done a great deal of the underwriting of not only the oppression, and I say murder, of innocent people, but also the withholding of credit to legitimate businesses in the United States of America, trying to accelerate the implosion of not only our nation and our national sovereignty, but the conditions under which of us as average Americans, whether we're originally from America, Iran, Haiti, Hmong, Vietnam, Indonesia, Kuala Lumpur, there's no indigenous Americans, not even the Native Americans, and I've got a little bit of that. They came across from Alaska. America is about hope, America is about peace, and America is about abundance. And the central bankers of Europe, through the City of London, specifically with the Crown agents, and that's a Google term for everybody in your audience, Jeff, they need to become fluent with the Crown agents, because just this day, the 27th of September of 2010, I sent an email that's quite robust to the Houston FBI office, the Minneapolis FBI office, the SEC headquarters in Chicago, and the director of the FBI, and across the ocean, we sent it to the Crown agents themselves, who are not our friends. If speaking as
How
Americans.
many people are we talking about? Because I don't know if you know who Archibald Roberts is, but a lot of these people I've talked to concerning this subject, they say that the world is literally in control of by as few as 5 families. Is that?
I don't have any fluency on that, but it is a very small number of families. But I'm an encourager, and that comes from the Bible in Luke 4:18. And the power is changing, and I think the power is changing for the better. And the families that are trying to suppress us are overridden by some benevolent people with lots of money who are telling them, if you're going to oppress the little people, God's little people of all nations, that they're not going to allow.
Let me ask you this then, Field. Obviously, the United States of America is the most powerful nation on the history of planet Earth. Okay, and the theory is that these people like the Fed and all these are no good. Who do you give credit for America being the most powerful country on planet Earth if in fact there's a global conspiracy. And then even in addition, if there's a global conspiracy, why would they give us the internet as a worldwide tool of information?
Who is it that you're suggesting gave us the internet?
Well, the government at least allowed it, right, to be.
The government is not in the business of creating things. They're in the business of corrupting and suppressing things. Specifically, you earlier talked about phone service and BlackBerry. Let me tell you what some people did, and I'm not one of these people. I know there's people in Austin who are rather vague about who the problem is. Here's who the problem is. Al Gore, Panetta, Webster Hubble, and a fourth party sat in the White House in 1993. They'd been told about AT&T having Clipper technology, and I guess I'm supposed to look at the camera, but I'm not good at this.
No, you're
That's
doing
fine.
just fine
Yeah.
as far as I know.
Clipper technology was an AT&T development which should empower all Americans who can afford a cell phone, which is the vast majority of us, since they're cheap and they can be hacked into easily. But with Clipper, our phone lines would have been secure. Those names I named, there's 4 names and I'm forgetting one, but they sat in the White House and they decided that they could not allow this to come out. They could not allow Clipper phones into America, so they bought up the entire run of Clipper phones and they put them up in Canada, okay, outside the reach of RICO. Now, are you familiar with RICO statutes?
Oh, certainly, yeah.
Okay.
Certainly.
The enterprise, the criminal cabal that's trying to destroy America, and prior to, I'd say the last 2 weeks, they appeared to be winning. They're operating, they are motivated partially from inside the reach of RICO, which is the 50 U.S. states. But the projectors of force and the corruptors of protocol are outside the reach of RICO, principally in the city of London, which is a very small section, 1 mile square of London proper, just like the District of Columbia is a very small 1 square mile.
Well, I wanted to point out too, and Sasan and I just had talked about this earlier. Okay, so there's evil people plotting in these different groups, right? But the only thing that really matters ultimately is that the power structure is in place.
Yeah, Jeff and I used to spend a
the
lot
power
of time.
structure is the government of all levels. They're the ones that send people out with guns to enforce things. So just from a strategy tactic to defeat people that would control this government, what from a strategy perspective, wouldn't it be to try to limit the scope of that government?
Yes, or to take over the government. And
Yes, well,
yeah,
that's another. Yeah,
the
that's
Russians back in around 1917 thought if there's going to be a revolution, let's lead it. That's what's happened to this country. In fact, there's some radio, TV personalities that mislead our people on public mainstream media.
Oh, I know that. Yeah, I know that.
What Jeff and I have, and we used to focus on what the plans are against us and focus on who's plotting against us. We've taken sort of a different course lately in that, as Jeff said, to us, if this power structure is not in place, this government is not in place, it doesn't matter what the plans are. It doesn't, matter who's planning against us.
Right.
And so Jeff and I really don't focus on the plans.
Well, what we
think
do,
that's
we focus on the issues because I feel, like for example, the war on drugs. I don't know how you feel about the war on drugs, but
It's a waste of money.
well, it's killed people.